Welcome. Well, you're at home with Jim and Joy, and you are an important part of our EWTN family, and we certainly would love to hear from you. We want you to send us an email with a question or a comment to jimandjoy@EWTN.com. And remember, you can always listen to the show as EWTN Podcast Central. Did you know that place existed? Go out there at EWTN.com/radio/podcast or wherever you happen to be listening to your podcast. Now today, we're going to welcome back the Director of Research for the Vitae Foundation, Jeff Pauls. Jeff is a longtime educator who has taught and coached students from the second grade all the way through postgraduate level. In 2014, he earned his PhD in education from the University of Missouri, St. Louis, and joined the Vitae Foundation, where he's currently the Director of Research. Jeff's most important role in his life are being a disciple of Jesus Christ. He is a husband and a father, and he'll be speaking with us today about the important role that men play in society when it comes to ending abortion and the research being done to save the unborn. You can go out to the great website. It's vitaefoundation.org or vitaeresearchinstitute.org, which is wonderful, and we're going to talk with Jeff all about that.
And also today, we have the privilege of having the Equestrian Order of the Holy Sepulchre join us again as our live audience. They're dedicated to supporting and sustaining the Christian presence in the Holy Land. So thanks so much for being with us, and say hello to our EWTN family. We'll be right back. There's plenty more to come.
Welcome back. Well, our guest today is the Director of Research for the Vitae Foundation. His name is Jeff Pauls. I want you to go out to the website, thevitaefoundation.org or the vitaeresearchinstitute.org. Well, Jeff, we had such a wonderful show with you yesterday. And give us a quick recap of what the Vitae Foundation does. And then I want to talk about the man's response and the influence when a woman says, "My body, my choice."
Good. Yeah, that's important. Well, in general, what we have the great blessing and opportunity to do at Vitae is to conduct life-saving research, and we apply the findings to create messages that we can share with others so that together we can build a culture in the future where we make abortion unthinkable.
Yeah.
So that's what we do.
And your research, what you're finding out, the messages that seem to work the best, that connect with where this person is, the woman, the pregnant mother, or the man, and so on. Because you've studied where they are emotionally and how they're thinking. This is good for pregnancy medical centers. This is good for various groups. It's good for rank and file moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas to know what messages really resonate and that which really isn't helpful. And you give us what we need, the tools, to have the conversation, to when this arises, and it's so intense, to say, hey, I seem to remember this is the best way to approach this.
That's right. It's what we do is unique in the pro-life movement. It's a unique type of research. It's market research based on looking at life as a product and marketing that product and creating then the messages that really resonate with the consumers who, if we want to look at it like that, are the young men and women who are facing unintended pregnancies, but also the entire culture so that we can help them move just a little bit more towards the pro-life position each day.
And your target is, you call it the middle. So it's not the very dedicated pro-life people or seemingly rabid people on the other side that are just in the culture of death all in. It's just the rank and file people in the middle. What are they thinking? What are they feeling when they come across this? And you're targeting especially men, and it doesn't seem very important to the culture of this day. Like, you have nothing to say, you should be quiet, maybe even shut up. But you're saying, no, they could have great influence. So begin to unpack that more fully for us.
Yeah, that's right. You know, men are told that it's a woman's decision, it's a woman's issue, and that they really have no right to say anything about it. And unfortunately, men have been programmed to kind of repeat that, and so they feel like that they don't have a say, or certainly not the final say, or anything like that. But they do, the positive from our research is that they do, once we get deep into their mind's eye in this process that we use, this deep 2-hour-long interview that we conduct with them, they really are saying, you know, at first that's what they repeat. They repeat what they think they should say and what the culture says that they should say. But once we really dive deep into the emotional responses, they believe that there should be a conversation with the woman, you know, about this really momentous decision, and it shouldn't just be where they get cut out. And so there is that. I think that was a positive from our research that showed they want to be. They do at first come across that way, but they really deeply do want to be a part of that.
So when she's saying, it's my body, it's my choice, well, there is a whole nother body that's growing inside of her, 23 of her chromosomes, 23 of his chromosomes. So how do you engage him emotionally in his brain to go to that deep place of understanding and saying, I need a better response from you. You cannot be cut off just because she says that. Because I hear it too, and it's kind of like, that's the line, and that's my ticket to
Where
avoid.
does he go if he's feeling something positive?
Yeah. So I mean, the first thing is that unfortunately he has bought into the "my body, my choice," you know, rhetoric. Unfortunately, but we can move him, as you asked, Jim. Kind of, you know, where can we move him? Because he does want to. You know, he wants to be supportive. He's not saying, you know, I'll support you, whatever you choose, because he thinks that is supportive, unfortunately, and so he thinks that my body, my choice is a good thing, but he doesn't realize that she doesn't appreciate that. She feels like it's pushed back on her at that point, and the responsibility is all hers. So, you know, he can, you know, say things like, you know, I don't know what this looks like, but I'll be the best dad I can be. I'll help you be the best mom you can be, and we'll figure this out together. He can say things like, you know what, we have a really good support system, whether that be family or whatever. That's powerful for her. He can say things like, you know, we may not be together, you know, we may not, you know, end up together, but we can still parent this child. So there's lots of things that we found from this research that are much more authentically supportive to her.
And all those statements are helpful for a guy in that situation. It would also be helpful if we could back up and teach men, our sons, this before then, right? That's the family, that's the church. Are we having any conversation about these things before this happens? It's good, maybe they'll know what to say in that, but we don't want to prepare you. So if you have sex with your girlfriend, you have a baby, you know, this is what you need to say. No, let's back up in terms of chastity and so on. And it's good for the parents because they need to reword this to say, hey, you have a supportive community. We're all here with you in this. You know, let her know you're all in, no matter what this looks like in terms of the relationship. You're in legally. You're up front. You're stepping up. So this is for our whole audience to learn what's going on with people and how to connect with them. This is really critical information. So let's say he steps up like that. And what does that do for him as a man, as a male, as the natural law makeup of someone, of maybe even having remotely some religious sense about this? What happens to him?
Yeah, I think, you know, that one of the positive things about this research showed us that men, you know, do want to take on you know, great things. They want to become, especially young men, they want to become a man. And, you know, for a lot of young men, that could be, graduating high school and getting a job. That's how he becomes a man. For other young men, maybe it's graduating and then going off to the military. That is the way he becomes a man, going to college. But for this young man, it might not be the way that he would have chosen, but this is the way to become a man, is to step up in this situation. And a lot of men, a lot of these young men, it's a surprise, I think, to our culture, but they want to be challenged in that way, and they are willing. And responsibility is a word that resonates with them, amazingly enough. It's something that they want to take on responsibility and to almost help them. And again, Jim, you talked about how we can share messages as moms, dads, grandfathers, grandmothers, and that sort of thing, or the culture, to be able to share, a message with him that, what, this is the opportunity now for you to become the man that you that you were made to be, that God made you to be. This is the opportunity for you to become the man that your girlfriend wants you to be. This is the opportunity for you to become the man that your child needs you to be. So,
amen. I know of a man that did that very thing when the son said, I got my girlfriend pregnant, and he was very supportive in that, and he said that this was not the context that we were hoping for. This is the reality. So you have a child, I have a grandchild, and all we wanted for your life was to be married and to have a child. Not this early, but this is the opportunity to learn what it means to be a father, and maybe it'll just be separate and you'll just be in this, or maybe you guys have enough there to get married. And so these are the things we need to be ready for to encourage this person along the route, although the woman might not decide that. And legally, she has that final say.
And in the forming of our family, of our children and our grandchildren, and I have this conversation with hundreds of clients, they'll say, well, I'm not ready. Well, okay, let's back that up. If you weren't ready to be a mom or to be a dad, then maybe you weren't ready to be having intercourse. We should maybe have not. Oh yeah, but now I'm not ready, right? And it's so, but in the formation, when our children are little, we have to teach. You have to be responsible. There's consequences to our actions. Nobody wants to hear that word either. Consequence, no, Dad will take care of it, Mom will take care of it. But we know from the research too that it takes one person to come up alongside a girl in an unplanned pregnancy to help her, to really throw her a lifeline of hope, because she is scared, she is afraid, there is shame, there is guilt, and that's the time that we as a people of God need to be the people we say we are, full of mercy, full of grace, full of support, financially, however we make that work as a family. It's not enough to preach, this, but then when we fall, we have to say, I'm here for you. There's mercy and grace, and there's forgiveness, and this is not the end of the story, right? Because half the world has been conceived in an unplanned pregnancy, right?
Yeah, that's so powerful, because our previous research before this one was on abortion healing and the healing that needs to happen, after an abortion because of the fallout there, and but that's so important with the mercy, and for even our priests and pastors to talk about this, us as pro-life people to talk about this, that because there's people out there that are dealing with this, because so much of it is hidden and it's swept under the rug, and it's kept in the dark, and of course we know that God wants to bring this into the light so that people can heal, but we can talk about this, that we know that's out there. It's not something that is unforgivable, or things like that, and that we do extend that mercy as pro-life people, and that was what our previous study was on.
And especially as parents, we had lots of rules, and you broke the rules, and there were consequences, but the consequences have to be what the consequences are, but there still has to be mercy and grace, because they need to come to you no matter what, and we need to keep that door open.
And we want our family to hear this. 68 million abortions in America alone, millions in countries throughout the world, and this is forgivable. and you can receive God's mercy and grace. And as John Paul said, you can become actually one of the most eloquent spokespersons on behalf of the gospel of life. He didn't want you to go there and do this, but you're like Mary Magdalene, you know God's mercy, grace, and forgiveness. How does the fatherlessness epidemic fit into this?
Yeah, it's something that we saw when we interviewed these men, that so many of them didn't grow up with fathers. And it's interesting. There's some good news and bad news here. The start with the bad news is that when we asked, they all acknowledge that it's important for a man to step up and to be a dad and to be and that fatherhood is a good. I mean, I'd love to talk a lot about that because it's something that was so exciting from the research, is that even men that had chosen abortion or pushed for it didn't, just said more like you said, Joy, I wasn't ready then, but I still think fatherhood is great and I want to be a father someday. And tragically, some of them may not ever get that chance again. And we talked to some who were older that happened with, but so fatherhood as a great good, a universal good. I mean, even men who have been just broken and didn't have good fathers, like you asked, Jim, they still look at fatherhood. I mean, they say things like, it makes me more thankful in life. And these are some quotes, from the study. It makes life more beautiful. He said, another one said that, there's 100% unconditional love between a father and a child. And these are men that, were really in difficult, circumstances. But yeah, for fathers, it's important to help them, get back to, kind of, this idea of, so that the positive, or sorry, I guess the negative was that they don't see, that they don't see their unborn child as, so they know they need to protect a born child, but when we asked, does that extend to your unborn child, they said no. That they
hold that thought.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a break. We'll come back for several minutes. Maybe you want to continue on that. And then how these people in this middle still know so much about fatherhood. That's kind of in there. We'll be right back. There's plenty more to come. Please don't go away. Welcome back. We're finishing our powerful conversation with Jeff Pauls. Jeff, you've been sharing about men and abortion, fatherhood, fatherlessness, and yet how much these men know kind of inherently about being a father. And so why don't you elaborate upon that? Take it any direction you want to go.
Okay. Yeah, I was mentioning that there was a positive to the idea of finding out that there was so much, fatherlessness in the culture, that the positive there is that a lot of men, they don't want to do what their father did to them, which was leave. They want to be around. They want to be present physically and emotionally to their family and their child. So I think that's a great messaging opportunity for us in the movement to be able to help men kind of say that, well, that actually does extend, to, you're already a father, and if you don't want to do, and because it's emotional, it's really deep. They don't want to do. It's something that has affected their lives. It's made them part of who they are, and they feel very strongly about being present to their children and to help them understand, well, your child is already here. You may not see him or her, but if you don't want to do that and you want to be kind of the opposite of that, which is what they tell us, then it's time to step up.
And we let our dads go into the room when she's going to have the ultrasound, so that he and she can both hear the heartbeat. Because what that does, it takes it from their head and trying to figure it out. In my head, we're pregnant. Gosh, okay, we know that. But when they hear the ultrasound, it moves it from their head to their heart.
And you're saying your findings have found that it may be more influential in the man than the mother.
Yes,
That's incredible.
Just and that was some of our work with other pregnancy centers around the country that showed if a man would go through their fatherhood program and see the ultrasound or hear the heartbeat, that 95% of them will, because again, I think it's something inside of us as men, you know, to that providing and protecting, and you know, we did talk about that in the study a little bit. But I know from personal experience that the very first time, you know, I heard, you know, now again, it wasn't an unexpected pregnancy. You know, we were elated, but the first time I heard that super strong, fast heartbeat of my daughter, you know, I was sold. But the interesting thing was, we had a gentleman in the interviews that he said almost verbatim what I've said in talks before, and he was just talking about the beauty and that whoosh, 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 whoosh of the heartbeat, and he said, you know, it changed something for him, and so that's why it's a game changer to be able to have the men in the room, like you said, in our pregnancy centers, because when they get to see that, and there's been, I mean, we've had several stories where men are in there and they came in abortion-minded and almost pushing the woman towards abortion, and they see that, and all of a sudden he's like, "That's my child," and the woman's like, "Who are you?" You know, and so it's powerful.
Yeah. No, they take ownership.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of the window to the womb. And that's why we love the Knights of Columbus, because they have supplied pregnancy resource centers with ultrasounds, over 1,500 of them all across this country. So that, and that's men helping other men to say, step up. You need to see what you need to see. You need to hear what you need to hear. And you need to be the man that God created you to be.
Jeff, thank you so much for being with us. We welcome the Vitae Foundation to EWTN and all the research you're doing, the best messaging possible, that we might save souls and lives. Thank you so very, very much,
Thank you,
and we want you back
Thank
soon.
you both.
Pray this has been a great blessing to you today. Pray that you would be filled with hope, mercy, forgiveness. If the right decisions weren't made, there's so many good things to say to people, and the Vitae Foundation has those for us to say. So learn more about the Vitae Foundation. Go to their website. You're an important part of the EWTN family. You're never alone. Life, marriage, and family will prevail. Keep it on EWTN. God bless you and all of your loved ones. Bye now.